Hey guys, what is going on? It's your boy Anok from Anok Gaming. So, I decided to make a series on how to teach people how. Okay. First of all, before we get into that, we are doing there's a little bit of construction happening in my house. So if there's construction noise, that would be why. Anyway, I decided to make a video on teaching you guys how to play certain card games, and this video is the Magic the Gathering video. And this one is how to build a deck. Alright, the next one will be how to play. And yeah, so without further ado, we'll roll the intro and then we'll get into how to build a deck. Roll it. Thank you for joining us today on the Anok Gaming channel. Please remember to drop a like, hit subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, and if you are interested in any merchandise, or as you young kids call it, merch, please click the link below. It would make me so happy. Now, on with the video. Thank you again. Alright, before we get into how to actually build a deck, maybe you don't want to come up with your own deck, but you would like to find something that you know already works. Well, there are easy ways to do that. First, you can ask a friend who knows how to play Magic, see what decks they have. But another way that you can do it is by checking out websites like tappedout.net and MTG Goldfish. Those two websites will have many types of decks for you. Look right here, popular decks. Right there for you. And it gives you the prices right here. And then on tappedout.net, all you have to do is click on it and scroll down. Right, where is it? I think I passed it. Might be up here actually. I can't remember. Oh, right here. This will show you the price of this deck. Not all decks are obviously not all decks are going to be $1.5 grand. Just saying. Just giving that as an example. So, let's build a deck. Okay, we will be using MTG Arena to build our deck. MTG Arena is a free-to-play online Magic the Gathering simulator, or game, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, it only allows you to play the formats Historic and Standard, but hey, that's fine. Most people are going to be playing Standard or Modern, so I'm going to be teaching you how to build a standard deck. Now, the formats in Magic the Gathering are pretty easy to understand if all you have to do is quickly learn about them. But basically, it determines how big your deck can be and what sets you can get your cards from. So because we're building a standard one, that means we are basically building from the most recent sets. So, first things first, you are going to want to decide... What the heck? That was my fault. You are going to want to decide what colors you want your deck to be. For the sake of easiness, I have randomly rolled a dice to decide our color scheme, but you guys can decide between the 5 colors. Now, the colors that I have rolled, your decks can be either 1 color, 2, 3, it doesn't matter. I rolled a 2-color deck, and it was black and red. Or, sorry, no, it was... Crap, what was it? I have it written down here. Oh, there we go. It was white and green. Okay. So, for this deck, let's just say you have a bunch of cards that you've randomly collected over the years. Or you can go and buy singles by checking out, or by going to stores or ordering them online. So, the first things first, you're going to need lands. Before you even decide what you're going to be playing with, you're going to need lands. So, you want an average of 20 to 24 lands. And most of the time, you're probably going to want them evenly split between your 2 colors. Lucky for us, Magic the Gathering is a game where you can have multiple colors of lands, like this one and this one that have 2 colors. I'll get rid of a forest for this one. Alright, now that you've gotten your lands, and you've picked out what color of deck you want, now you need to pick out cards. You want cards that you want to have a pyramid type of scaling for mana cost. Mana cost is this little thing up in the top corner. These ones cost 1. These cost 2. 3. And it goes up and up and up. Alright. you're going to want to make like a pyramid type of a shape out of your mana cost. So you're going to want to have like about 8 1-drops, about 8 2-drops, some 3-drops. You know, you want to keep it, you want to like go up and then like down like that. Maybe it'll be easier to show you in about 2 seconds. So what you want to do is find cards that work together. So normally what you want to do is you want to find one card that you like and try to build a deck around it. That card that we are going to be building a deck around is, where the heck is it? Or like a set of cards that work together that you want to build around. Why can't I find it? This one. Okay. This card says Constellation. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on this card and draw a card. So with this card, you want to play a lot of enchantment cards, which is really good because if you look in the white section, if I get over there really quickly, if you look at the white section, there are plenty of enchantments to pick from, but there's one in particular called All That Glitters. This card says Enchanted Creature. Enchanted Creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment you control. So for each enchantment you control, this creature gets bigger and bigger. Well, every time an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, this creature gets bigger and bigger. So what we're going to want to do is fill the deck full of enchantments and enchantment creatures and just see where we go from that. So I'm going to hurry and do that, and then we're going to talk about it immediately after. Cool. Alright, I made my webcam disappear for this one so I could show you guys the finalized deck. So, you've picked out some cards. They go in an upward curve and then kind of sometimes it goes in an up and then downward curve. This one, we're mainly going to want to stick with as cheap of cards as possible. Things that cost 1, things that cost 2, and things that cost 3. Some decks will have more of a pyramid scheme. So like if you see this, it goes a few 1-drops, a lot of 2-drops, and then a few 3-drops. Sometimes it goes a couple of 1-drops, a few 2-drops, a few 3-drops, and then some 4, and then like a couple of 5s. So yeah, sometimes it's a pyramid. That's what I was talking about, that whole pyramid thing. So this is the finalized deck that I came up with, alright? This is... Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Oh, whoopsie. There we go. Alright, so we have... two of this guy. So this guy is an enchantment creature. So not only is he an enchantment, which will trigger this and this, but he's also a creature. Another cool thing about him is that he has lifelink. So if we have a bunch of enchantments that make our boys bigger, and we put them on him, that means we do a ton of damage and gain a ton of life. And I speak from experience because yesterday, as of recording this, I played a game where he managed to get to 4,000 attack and 4,000 defense, and I had 8,000 life. So, yeah. Anyway, here's an enchantment card that we're playing. This is Sentinel's Eyes. This is a very good one because it can be played from the graveyard by paying its escape cost. So, here's what you do. Enchant target creature, or enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has vigilance. Vigilance means that it doesn't tap when you attack. Alright, and then it has an escape cost. The escape cost is 1. It means exile 2 other cards from your graveyard and you can play that card from your graveyard. So, not only is this an enchantment, but if the creature that you attach it to gets destroyed, you can cast it back from your graveyard. And that's really good. Here's another enchantment for you. This enchantment has flash, which means you can be played at instant speed. It gives your creature vigilance, and it gives them +1/+1. It has other stuff too, but that's not important. What's important is that it's an enchantment that makes your boy bigger. Cool. This is Gilded Goose. Gilded Goose is not an enchantment, but it is a creature. And... Sorry, rudely interrupted. Anyway, so, Gilded... Why is this being annoying? Okay, Gilded Goose creates artifacts, but it's a special artifact. So Gilded Goose has flying, which means it can block other creatures with flying. So, when Gilded Goose enters the battlefield, create a food token. You can tap 2 and tap it to create another food token, or you can tap it, sacrifice a food, and create 1 mana of any color. This will help you get out other cards faster. Let's say you only have 2 mana, but you want to cast this 3 mana card. Well, boom, right here. You just play this, or if you have this out, you can tap for 3 mana and be able to play one of your 3 mana cards. It's a really good card in general. It's also decent to enchant because it has flying. But those food tokens are artifacts. And if you notice, All That Glitters also talks about artifacts. So it gets bigger for each artifact you control. So let's say you have 3 food tokens and like 2 enchantments. Well, guess what? This is giving something +5/+5. Well, +6/+6 if you include itself. But yeah. Okay, so for the 2 drops, we have All That Glitters. It's the one that I've been talking about. Pacifism. Pacifism does not, you don't want to put it on one of your creatures, but your opponent's creatures. This ensures that your creatures are safe, and or that their creature can't attack or block, which means you are safe from it attacking, but also if you attack and it's their only creature, they can't block with that creature. So that's pretty cool. And it's an enchantment, which means it triggers these 2. So yeah. This one is a legendary enchantment creature, which means it's both a creature and an enchantment, much like this one. So that's mostly all that matters, but whenever another creature you control enters the battlefield or dies, you gain 1 life, and that's pretty freaking good. So that means whenever this enters the battlefield, you gain a life. Whenever this enters the battlefield, you gain a life. Gain a life, gain a life, you know, all that. Gain a life here. So, yeah, that's also really nice for life gain. This is a very good card. So if you get one of your creatures up to a very high attack power, you can give it this, and this is an enchantment, which will trigger both All That Glitters and the boy that gets bigger every time you play an enchantment. And what this says, when it enters, or you can enchant a creature you control, and when it enters the battlefield, draw a card. Also, the enchanted creature gets +1/+0 and has trample. Trample means any excess damage or any excess combat damage that creature is doing instantly goes to the player or planeswalker that it is attacking. So, let's say you have a bunch of enchantments on this guy, and then you play this. Well, guess what? This instantly can start dealing the opponent straight damage, not really worrying about that it's being blocked by one creature. In fact, that game that I was talking about earlier where I gained 8,000 life, I lost that game because I couldn't give this effing thing trample because I couldn't draw this one card. Like, I drew 12 lands in a row. Couldn't draw this one card, and then they managed to kill this card, and the next turn I drew this, and anyway, that's beside the point. The next card we have in here is Warbearer Blessing, and that gives your creature +0/+2. And when it enters the battlefield, enchant a creature, and it fights up to 1 other target creature that you don't control. So this is really nice if your opponent has an annoying creature that you just want to get rid of a blocker. You can play this card. So like, let's say they only have 1 creature. You play this card, you have your big creature attack that creature, their creature dies, and then you can just attack them on your attack step. So it's really good. And it's also an enchantment. Now, this, don't play this. I put it in here because I don't have another one of these. If I did have another one of these, I would have 3 of these and none of this. This isn't actually very good, so just ignore this. Anyway, this is Hydra's Growth. This is how I got my creature to become a 4,000/4,000. This is an enchantment, which triggers everything. And it says, when Hydra's Growth enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on enchanted creature. At the beginning of your upkeep, double the number of +1/+1 counters on enchanted creature. So, not only does that mean that every turn it gets bigger, but not only that, it's also an enchantment, which means it triggers everything. Finally, the last card of importance is, well, the creature that we built the card around. And we read that at the beginning of this whole thing. So what you'll notice is because the 2 creatures that we decided to build the deck around need a lot of enchantments and a lot of enchantments, We packed this deck full of things that say enchantment. There are only 2 cards other than lands in this whole deck that don't say enchantment on them. That is Gilded Goose and this chick. And this chick, you don't really want her. I just put her in there to complete the deck. So, yeah. So you'll notice that we picked that card for this deck. Like other decks, for example, this is a mutate deck. You want to build card, so the card that I built this whole deck off of is this card, Scoot Swarm. Well, it is not a mutate card, and it doesn't need mutate. It needs lands to be entering the battlefield. Well, guess how you get more lands to enter the battlefield? By this card. This card mutates. Guess how you make it mutate a lot more? By playing other cards with mutate. So you'll see that when you play certain decks, you want to have cards that work together. And that's what I tried to show you. This one doesn't count. This one's just a throw together deck. But like this card is a life gain deck. I have a bunch of cards with lifelink that will gain me life. And a lot of cards that will keep me protected like this. So it really all depends on like what exactly you're playing. That's why I showed you the enchantments as an example. So that is how you build a Magic the Gathering deck. You pick the colors that you want or color, and then you find cards, or you find a card that interests you and say, hey, this has a really cool ability, or I really like this card. Let's try to build around it. Not all cards can be built around, but hey, that's just the game that we're playing. So it's a really fun game, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching, and I hope you learned something. But yeah. So remember, an average of 20 to 24 lands. It just depends on how slow the deck is and how big your creatures are. Let's say you have a couple of 5-drops in there. Well, you'll probably want to have 24 lands. But if you're playing a faster deck, like the one that I just showed you, the Selesnya Enchantments, you want to have 20. And sometimes you'll even drop down to 18. It just depends on the deck. So that is how you build a Magic the Gathering deck, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Please remember to smash the like button, hit subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications. Also, remember to go check out the merch in the link down below. Every month, I have a custom playmat. If you don't know what a playmat is, it's a mouse pad. But card game players like to have them to put their decks on, or their cards on, so they don't get ruined. So, thank you all so much for watching. I am Manok from Manok Gaming, and I'll see you next one. Bye-bye!